Om Namo Narayani. Good morning, good evening, wherever we are all joining in from. Today is the 60th class. We are into week 60 of Sri Lalitha Sahasranamam, and we will be looking at her names 412 to 418. Let us begin with our prayers. Jnana-rūpāya vidmahi śaktyam sāya dhīmahi tanno śaktyam ma prachodayāt. Om Jnana-rūpāya vidmahi śaktyam sāya dhīmahi tanno śaktyam ma prachodayāt. Om Jnana-rūpāya vidmahi śaktyam sāya dhīmahi tanno śaktyam ma prachodayāt. Om sarva-mangala-mangalye Shive sarvartha-sadhike Sharanye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om sarva-mangala-mangalye Shive sarvartha-sadhike Sharanye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om sarva-mangala-mangalye Shive sarvartha-sadhike Sharanye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahi Tejasvinavadiyamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. One moment, shall we stop the recording and get some water? Om Sindhuraruna Vigraham Trinayanam Manikya Maulispurat Taranayaka Sekhara Smitamukhi Mapina Vakshuruham Panibhyam Alipurna Ratna Chashakam Raktotpalam Bibhratim Saumyam Ratna Ghatastha Rakta Taranam Dhyayit Paramambikam Dhyayit Padma Sanastham Vikasita Vadanam padmapatrāyatākṣīṃ hīmābhāṃ pītavasтрāṃ karakalitālasat hīmapadmāṃ varāngīṃ sarvālaṅkārayuktāṃ satatam abhayatāṃ bhaktanam ram bhavanīṃ Srividyam Shantamurti Sakala Suranuta Sarva Sampat Pradatri Sakumkuma Vilepanāmalika Chundi Kasturikam Samanda Hasitekshanam Sachara Chapa Pasankusam Pasesha Janamohini Marunamalya Bhushujvalam Japa Kusuma Bhasuram Japa vidhau smaridambikam Arunam karunatarangitakshim Dhrutapasam kusapushpabana chapam Animadhibhiravrutam ayukhairahamityeva Vibhavaye mahisim Om Aim Krim Śreem Om Namo Narayani Om Śreem Śrīmatre Namah swaha Let us begin with Sri Lalitha Narayani's 412th name. Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai cit-śaktyai namah swaha namah swaha. Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai namah swaha namah swaha. Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem. Salutations to Sri Lalitha, who is adored, who is worshipped by the wise, by the righteous. In the earlier name, 411th name, we saw Om Śreem cit-śaktyai namah swaha. So it follows then the wise, those who follow the dharma, who are very righteous, who are in alignment with the laws of the universe, the wise ones. She loves them, she adores them, she's with them. And here they worship her because they recognize the totality, that the whole universe that she is, and they understand through their wisdom, and they adore her and they love her, worship her. Śiṣṭa, the wise ones, the one who are following the dharma. Pūjitāyai, they offer the worship, they adore her. When do you offer worship? When you love something, you offer that worship. You don't do it mechanically, it comes from the heart as an offering. And that is the adoration that results in the expression of worshipping. There is another way of interpreting this. Śiṣṭa, the wise ones, those who are very righteous. Righteous is not the It's not like the harshness of the strictness of it, but with the wisdom comes that love. And from that, there is this dawning of following only that which is good. It comes inherently because when you follow the laws of the nature, your mind, your heart are synchronized, and the heart just comes out with that love because you see the universe, she as her, and you see her in everyone, and you honor every life form. It becomes inherent with wisdom, and righteousness becomes a natural way of living for the wise ones. And such wise ones, wherever they go, they are worshipped. The whole world looks up to them and adores them, honors them. So the śiṣṭas are honored, revered everywhere they go. Don't we see that they emanate that divine qualities where they go, and they are received well everywhere? Because inherently they have her, they're blossoming in her, and through her she emanates those qualities of the divine everywhere. The śiṣṭas goes. Good. Her 413th name, Om Śreem apramēyāyai namah swaha. 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 Om Śreem. Salutations to Sri Lalitha, who is infinite, who is immeasurable. Her grandeur is immeasurable. When we measure, we are measuring her through our senses, we are measuring her through our mind, because these are the tools we have. You can measure with only what tools you have, the mind and the senses, and she cannot be measured through these. Prameya means boundary. So there is a limit to it, a boundary. It has a boundary. She's apramēya. She's boundless. There is nothing that can look at her perimeter and describe this. Our minds are trying to describe her with what the mind can understand. But within those parameters, we are trying to conceive of the Brahman that is beyond the mind, what the mind can grasp, which we will see again in the next coming names. So she is immeasurable, beyond our mind and our senses. There is another way of interpreting this. Apramēya. You take the and the prameya. Represents Brahma and Vishnu, and Brahma and Vishnu have realized her. They have seen her and they have realized her. So the one who has been realized by Brahma and Vishnu. There is another way of also interpreting this. Up is another word for water. We know Varuna Deva is the divinity that reigns over water. Up is water. And here she is in present everywhere in water. She is in water. And there are so many qualities for each of the Panchabhutas. And water has this flowing quality of love and flow. And without water, life cannot flourish. Anywhere you see any life forms growing, it is around water. And this reminds me of Amma's Narayani poetry. In praise of Narayani, there are 108 poetry Om, that is like praise to the Narayani, and it is composed by Sri Shakti Amma. And the few I will share now is one. Om Niril Niraindai Potrivom, Om Katril Kalandai Potrivom, Om Shakti Narayaniye Potrivom. And then it goes on, Om Shantam Tarubavale Potrivom. And then along it comes, Om Niril Niraindai Potrivom, Om Katril Kalandai Potrivom, Om Neruppil Maraindai Potrivom. So it's describing Narayani, the cosmic mother. Niril Niraindai, Nir is water, Niraindai, she just is fully in the water. Every aspect of water is filled with her. And Katril Kalandai, Katri is air, is blended, she's in the air. And Neruppil Maraindai Potrivom, fire, we have the Yagam, fire, Sri Lalitha Yagam there. She is hidden in the fire. So she is in there in Panchabhutas, and here apramēyāyai, she is present fully in all the waters. The mind is trying to grasp her through what it can understand, so it's comparing her through what it is able to grasp and understand. Her 414th name, Om Śreem svaprakāśāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem svaprakāśāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem svaprakāśāyai svaprakāśāyai namah swaha. Namah swaha. Om Śreem svaprakāśāyai svaprakāśāyai namah swaha. Namah swaha. Om Śreem svaprakāśāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem svaprakāśāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem. Salutations to Sri Lalitha, who is self-luminous. We just saw earlier in the names recently, Prakasha is that effulgence, that light. And Swa is self, of the self, from the self, born of the self. We say Swayambhu, there is no one giving birth to her. She is born of her own accord. She incarnates of her own accord, is Swayambhu. Swayam Jyoti is the light that is within itself. It illuminates. It doesn't need something else to illuminate it. So svaprakāśā, prakāśā is that radiance, that luminance, and she radiates it. It is inherent in her, self-luminous. And we saw the prakasha is that which is, that light emanates from it without any cause for it. And vimarsha is that which takes the light and reflects it. We were mentioning the example of the sun. It is self-luminous. It brings out the light from within itself, like prakasha. Vimarsha, the moon, of its own, it doesn't have any light, but it takes the light of the sun and reflects it. Vimarsha is the one that is dependent on external source for its light, whereas she is svaprakāśāyai. She doesn't need anything externally to light her up. It is her inherent characteristic. She emanates, radiates this luminance, that light, which is her inherent quality, her nature. Like even when we look at, we equate the sun as the brightness, like the soul, it has its inherent light. And moon is often referred to like the mind represents, the mind is represented by the moon and the soul by the sun. And the moon takes the light from the sun and reflects it. So this mind similarly takes the light from the soul, and then the mind can function only from the light from the soul. And this soul is what? It is a drop from her. It is from her, the source. She is in every form, every life form, and her life is in us as the soul. But why don't we see her as the divinity in everyone? And namah says that it is the Maya. The creation has its sequences of how creation happens, and the karma of each being. That are the veils that are like wraps around this light that is already in us. So this whole journey of going back to the source is unraveling these veils, and for this inherent light of us within us to manifest. That is the whole process. We do it externally through our worldly life, and we do it internally in the microcosm through our practices. Connecting with her within us, connecting with the divine within us, through all the practices we go through, our prayers, pujas, our love for the divine, and the yogic practices. There are so many ways. There's so many abundant ways that she has provided for us to be able to come back to her. So this can illumine everything. So when this illumines the mind, then each being becomes the cit-śaktyai. Each one, the wisdom radiates and manifests in that state. Her 415th name, Om Śreem manō-vācām agōcarāyai namah swaha. 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 Om Śreem. Salutations to Sri Lalitha, who is beyond mind and speech. Mano is the mind. Vāca, Vāk Devi is Vāc. Vāca is speech. Agōcarāyai, she is not of the mind, she is not of the speech. And so the mind and the speech cannot reach her. They just indicate her, but to really reach her, it happens, it's an inner connection that happens. And the founder of this dance called Bharatanatyam, there are several types, lineages of dances in India. Bharatanatyam is a very famous form. It's very structured. There's so much of science to that. And Bharata Muni, who founded Bharatanatyam, and he mentions it very beautifully, as one of the commentators has mentioned, Yada hastas tada drishti, yada drishtis tada manah. So, yada means where, hastas, hasta is hand. So when you make these expressions through the hand, a dancer expresses through the eyes, the body movement and the hand. Each movement represents a mudra. It's trying to convey the whole story, depicting all of this in just the dance format. And the hasta, the hand, is expressing the whole story. Each movement of the hand is expressing different aspect. It is storytelling. Without the vacha, the hands are expressing all this. And what the hand is expressing, if you watch, the eyes of the dancer is going there, and the audience is looking at dancer, looking at the form and following her hands and her dance. And where the eyes go, the mind follows. Yada hastas, wherever the hand is, tada drishti, there drishti is the sight, the sight follows. Yada drishti, where the drishti, the sight is, tada manaha, there the mind follows. So the whole thing is being conveyed through this action to draw the mind to that. So the mind can keep wandering. That's the nature of the mind. But when we are trying to draw it in, to be centered, to be in this moment, to be in the unison with the universe, in that perfect moment state, when the mind comes in, it follows the hand, it follows the eyes and the hand and the sight. So it is bringing the being to that one moment. And from the mind, if you have to think of the sun, the dancer is representing the sun, the mind comes to the sun and immediately it is drawn to the full effulgence. We visualize the sun. We don't make an effort. Automatically, we connect with it. However far it is, wherever it is in the universe, we capture it within ourselves. We are already there. So the mind gives that pull, that idea, and then the soul, the being, is already in that oneness state. And even what the mind can take us to is only a representation, because she cannot be captured, reached by even the mind. Manō-vācām, the mind and the speech, agōcarāyai, she is not in that realm. Even so much we comprehend with our mind, we still cannot capture her with that. We make an attempt. And we mentioned earlier in Abhirami Pattar, who sings these beautiful verses on Abhirami, the divine form of Narayana's Abhirami. He says in his song, you are so incomprehensible, you're so immeasurable, it's beyond our comprehension, beyond us to realize you, but out of your compassion, you make yourself itself small enough for our little mind to grasp you. So we are able to catch the divine, understand the divine only through her grace and her immeasurable qualities, nature. We cannot comprehend, but we are able to grasp a little aspect of her, and that itself is like makes each one who goes into that state as this stage is one who is able to grasp her because she's immeasurable. And there is the one who wrote Ramayana, the sage, he mentions that who know the Vedas, who chant the Vedas, who are like the experts, their whole life is centered around Vedas. Even the Vedas they chant only gives them only a glimpse. They are not able to comprehend her, reach her through that. It is ultimately, we've seen here, bhakti priyāyai namah swaha, bhakti gamyāyai namah swaha. It is that devotion that really helps us to reach her. All these are like props, processes that are ultimately bringing us to the state of devotion through only which we connect with her. It's like we have all the recipes, we are putting one by one, all these hundreds of recipes to make that beautiful preparation. And the ultimate preparation with all these ingredients we put in, that's so wonderful, tasty, is that devotion, that culmination is that devotion that blossoms within each one of us. And that is the ultimate that's able to connect us to her. There are few other ways of interpreting this name. One is taking the earlier name, Prakāśā, from that into manō-vācām, agōcarāyai. So manō-vācām is like no mind, no word can reach her, or those whose mind are not that cultivated or the speech is not cultivated, they are not able to reach her. You cannot reach her with the mind that the refined process that has gone through the process, and words, a speech that are not refined and processed. Without these, she is not reachable. A 416th name. Om Śreem. There is one more beautiful explanation for the one. Om Śreem manō-vācām agōcarāyai. There's a way of, it says that the mind tries to reach her, the speech tries to reach her, but they return because they are not able to reach her. The mind and the speech don't have that capacity to reach her, so they return. That is only that much capacity of the mind. There's only that much capacity in words. But most of us, we live our whole life based on only the mind and the words. We don't have this yearning to go beyond the mind, this yearning to go beyond the speech, in that stillness, in that silence where we can connect to that totality, to the universe. And those who have, it is experiential and it cannot be described again. That's why they just say, go through this process. It is an individual experience for each one to come to that stage. 416th name. Om Śreem cit-śaktyai namah swaha. Chit and Shaktyai, Shakti, when they are joined together, it becomes cit-śaktyai. The chit is cha, and the citchaktyai, there is a stress on the cha, the ch. So it's cicchaktyai. Om Śreem cit-śaktyai namah swaha. Om Śreem cit-śaktyai, cit-śaktyai, namah swaha, namah swaha. Om Shri, Om Shri, cit-śaktyai, cicchaktyai, namah swaha, namah swaha. Om Shri, cicchaktyai, namah swaha. Om Shri, cit-śaktyai, namah swaha. Om Śreem. Salutations to Sri Lalitha, who is the power of consciousness. We saw in the earlier, she is cit-śaktyai namah swaha, her 362nd name. Chitta and chitti is that inner, that consciousness, that innermost awareness, that consciousness that is in every animate form. And she is that Shakti. She is that, she is the power, the Shakti in that. And often the Jnana Shakti is equated to the cit-śaktyai, that when we are describing Sat Chit Ananda, Sat is that totality, the ever-existing, the truth. It is equated to the Paramatma, the Brahman. Chit is another word for Chit is Chaitanyam. This inner consciousness, that constant awareness all the time, that Chit is always there, that awareness, this is her. And within each one of us, with the soul, there is this Chit. And she is that totality, that universal consciousness we talk about. Each of us have our individual consciousness, and she is the totality of all, the entire creation. Cit-śaktyai, it is her Shakti that is that universal consciousness that is there in the entire universe, in the entire creation. And she rules us through the jnana and the ajnana. This universal consciousness, when it's clouded, it becomes the ajnana, the ignorance. So in her creation, there is universal consciousness, and wherever there is a blurring of that, or there's a covering over that, we saw she's vidya, avidya. So the knowledge and the ignorance is there in creation. So this whole entirety of the creation is full of her Chit Shakti, her consciousness. And within that is all again the covering which brings the jnanam, the loss of wisdom, the ignorance, all that. But in her creation, in her state, she is the totality of the entirety of the cosmic, that universal consciousness, cosmic consciousness. Her 417th name is a continuation of this. Om Śreem Chaitanya-rūpāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem Chaitanya-rūpāyai namah swaha. Namah swaha. Om Śreem Chaitanya-rūpāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem Chaitanya-rūpāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem Chaitanya-rūpāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem. Salutations to Sri Lalitha, who is the form of pure consciousness itself. In the earlier we saw, she is cit-śaktyai. She is that Shakti, the energy, force behind this consciousness. She is consciousness herself, universal cosmic consciousness. It is her Shakti. It is her form. Rupa is her form. So Chit is Chaitanya, Chit, Chaitana, they are the same. The Chaitana, the Chit, Chaitana Rupāyai. So she is the form wherever there is this consciousness. And which has consciousness, whole of the creation? All the life forms have this consciousness that is in them. Every animate form of hers has the Chaitanya, has the Chaitana, and she is in that form of every animate form in existence. Every life form in the creation is a form. So the wise ones see that, the cit-śaktyai understand, they have this inherent experience, they see her in every life form, so they can only have love for every life form. Every master you see, they see only her life form, and all the other defects that we see are only coverings. They see through that to see her essence. A Chaitana Rupa they see in everyone, and she is in the Chaitana Rupa. She is form of every animate form in existence. She is the one who gives the characteristics and qualities of each animate form. Everything has its qualities. This life form has this qualities and possibilities, and these gunas, this life form. So every life form has its characteristics, and it gives them these characteristics. And this inner awareness, inner consciousness that we have, it is only through this we experience the world. Our senses bring the inputs, and they are taken in the inner consciousness within each life form. It reaches it for it to bring in the worldly experiences. If the inner consciousness doesn't connect with what the sensory inputs are, then a worldly understanding is not there. You can see, you would have seen, experienced this. Those in deep meditation, the wise ones, or one who are totally immersed in her, the senses, whatever you bring to them is disconnected from the senses because they're totally soaked in her. The world, whatever happens around the world, they are not aware. So the Chaitana within each one is connected totally in them, that they are external, the senses are not able to stimulate and connect with her, totally immersed in the divine. The other way extreme you can look at it is when we see look at the human way of how we are understanding it. There are so many countless life forms, but for a little understanding to get a tiny idea about this, like we see like children who are not developed, like autistic or cerebral palsy, those kind of where the Chaitana sometimes is not connecting, the senses are not connecting to it, and the way they experience the world is not the sensory inputs from all these senses are not able to go into the Chaitana for each one to express themselves fully with the external universe. So this Chaitana, the consciousness, inner consciousness within, when it connects and interacts with the senses, and the senses interact and connect with the chit within each one, then the life is unfolds. So fully, we go through life smoothly. Otherwise, we are like disconnected with the environment and the world. But the chit is always there. This Chaitanya Rupa within every life form. We were looking at it from the individual. When we look at it from her, she is there in every life form, and she is the one who gives the form to every life, the chit within everyone. Her 418th name, Om Śreem cit-śaktyai namah swaha. 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 Om Śreem. Salutations to Sri Lalitha, who is the energy of the inanimate creation. So usually the translation for Jada is something that doesn't move. And the people also say when you don't do anything, you're lazy, just sitting around doing nothing. Why? They say, why are you like a Jadam, just sitting there without doing anything? So Jada is that which doesn't move, and Jada Shakti is that which is inanimate. So it doesn't have the chit in it. We've been saying she is the cit-śaktyai, she is the Chaitanya Rupa, inanimate ones. In the inanimate one, the inanimate, even though it doesn't have that inner consciousness, it has a Shakti, because if you're looking at everything is made up of subatomic particles, the atoms and the molecules, not every has the Chaitanya. Like a book, pens, literally everything. So even this body, without that chit, if the Chaitanya is not there, there is no, this body is also becomes an inanimate one. This body is honored as long as the life, the Chaitanya, the chit is in it, and the life is in it. But in the inanimate, it is also part of a creation. The creation manifests everything, and in that the life forms are there, the inanimate is there. Everything is her, and the Shakti in the inanimate, the energy of the atoms, the molecules, everything in creation is just from, is her Shakti. We call it Jada Vastu. Vastu is thing. Jada Vastu is something that doesn't move. The other more profound way of looking at it, interpreting it, is this. It is the creative Shakti. When we go back to how creation happened from the source, from the Shiva Shakti union, and then the Maya manifests, the three gunas manifest, the Panchabhutas manifest, the intricate layers of the thought, words, all these manifest in that creation. This Maya, once it's formed, it uses the Jada Shakti, that Shakti that is there. She uses, the Maya uses that for the whole creation. So Maya is what is again created from the cosmic mother, Sri Lalitha Narayani. And once Maya has manifested, she now creates the entire creation, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, all the divinities, various forms, the human form, so many other animate forms, so many inanimate forms, all these manifestations originate from the Jada Shakti. It is like heat is hidden in the fire. What we see, what we perceive is the fire, but heat is inherent in that. Like that, this Jada Shakti is inherent in creation. This is a beautiful way of explaining aspect which the Brahman, we are trying to understand a Brahman that cannot be reached by our mind, that cannot be reached by our senses, and yet we make the attempt. So that is the only way to even come into, to have this awe and reverence for this creation, which is beyond our comprehension. So much in this universe to look at it. Wow, we look at other things, the man-made things, and say, oh, wow, they did this. Oh, wow, awesome, stupendous, they did this. But how often do we even stop to look around and say, wow, what universe is this? Wow, what creation is this? We praise and we give so many prizes to human creations from our thoughts, from our minds. And from her within us, she manifests to give us this buddhi, the intellect and all that. But to see the whole universe and go, wow, how you have created this, and it brings that awe. And this Brahman, how does she create? For us to create something, we need, okay, I want to make this, I need the, if you're writing, the pen, pencil, the book, the laptop, whatever. If you're cooking, all the ingredients, grow it in nature, we need this, the fire, the vessel to cook, the plate to eat, all that. Anything we want to make, toys for children, clothes, anything in life, we take and then put them together and then we make it. We depend on external resources to do something, to create something. But for the Brahman, for the totality that Narayani is, she has manifested everything. She has created something. She doesn't go into creation to get this, to do this. The Brahman, the totality, Sri Lalitha, she just thinks a desire, that Kameshwara, Mahakameshwari, that desire, that intent to create is enough, because the creative Shakti is her, is inherent in her. It is her quality. She doesn't need anything external to create something. She doesn't have to bring this, bring that, bring this together to put it together. Her thought is enough. Creation has happened out of her. From her thought, everything that's needed for creation also manifests. That is the power of the divine cosmic mother. We are all dependent externally, internally for our livelihood, for our sustenance, for our life. The cosmic mother, she gives. It is only the love that she takes. Everything else is hers. She is there to materialize, manifest, and give. And for her to create, we saw in one of her names, just blinking of her eye, series of worlds are manifested, series of worlds are destroyed. Like bubbles, they come and go immediately, just with a blinking. She can create, she can destroy, things come and go, come and go, come and go. So there is no effort to do this, plan this, procure this. When we have huge inventories, planning, and so much goes on in the human realm to execute something, to think, plan, execute. For the divine, not even this flicking second, fraction of a second, it is instantaneous. That is the power that we have the great fortune to talk about, to cherish, and this awesome opportunity to participate in this great Sri Lalitha Sahasranamam Mahayagam that is happening. Each of her names is so profound that is giving us the opportunity to soak for some time in her, the immeasurable grandeur that the Cosmic Mother is. Let us offer a chant, a prayers to Sri Lalitha Narayani, her names for this week. Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem apramēyāyai namah swaha. Shall I stop the recording for a moment? Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem śiṣṭa pūjitāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem apramēyāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem apramēyāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem apramēyāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem svaprakāśāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem svaprakāśāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem svaprakāśāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem manō-vācām agōcarāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem manō-vācām agōcarāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem manō-vācām agōcarāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem cit-śaktyai namah swaha. Om Śreem cit-śaktyai namah swaha. Om Śreem cit-śaktyai namah swaha. Om Śreem Chaitanya-rūpāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem Chaitanya-rūpāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem Chaitanya-rūpāyai namah swaha. Om Śreem Jada-śaktyai namah swaha. Om Śreem Jada-śaktyai namah swaha. Om Śreem Jada-śaktyai namah swaha. Om sarva-mangala-mangalye shive sarvartha-sadhike sharanye trayambake gauri narayani namostute namah swaha. Om Jnana-rūpāya vidmahi Shaktiyam Saya Dhimahi Tanno Shaktiyam Ma Prachodayat namah swaha. Om Namo Narayani. Let us offer all our chants or prayers to Sri Lalitha Narayani and seek her grace, her blessings to shower us with this wisdom and to live this wisdom of karma, of thinking good, speaking good, doing good, to receive this gift of devotion for the divine, to connect with the divine within us, to connect with the divine within each other, to connect with the divine in the whole of the creation, for all of us, all our loved ones, all of humanity, all the sentient beings on all of Mother Earth and in all the worlds, to always be full of the soul qualities of peace, wisdom, love, laughter, joy, abundance, generosity, devotion, gratitude, compassion, honoring of all life forms, all the soul qualities, to her grace and her blessings, through the grace and blessings of our Guru, Sri Shakti Amma Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Are there any questions? In relation to the 108 names for Narayani, what does the potri Om at the end of each line mean? Potri is praise, and Om is your praising that totality. Om is the pranavam. You start with Om and ending with Om, each of those lines of praise, verse, each line. And it is a format to start with Om and end with Om. It has its own speciality. Om is that totality, is one representation of the Om, the pranavam it is called. And we often refer to also the Ganesha. Potri is praise. You keep praising the goodness and you imbibe that goodness as you keep praising it. So what you focus on is what you will grow. So you're focusing on praising the divine. So those qualities grow in us. We are able to connect to those qualities. When we appreciate the goodness, good qualities, we are able to connect with it. Then that energy flow exchange is there. And then it helps for that to grow in us also. Om Namo Narayani. And these 108 are very simple, very profound names. And because with the divine's grace, it's given directly by the divine, it helps us. It's very powerful. In fact, this Narayani potri is what they chant and offer kumkum archana to in the Swayambhu temple every day in the morning. They do the Narayani potri and they do the archana for her every day, the offerings. In the Puttu Puja every Friday in Pidam, we do the Narayani potri 108 times and offer kumkum to her. And this kumkum becomes the prasad that we all take. And it is not complicated like some of the things are in Sanskrit or very pure Tamil. So I think there is a recording. We can check in. I sent to someone some time ago, someone wanted it. I can record and send, but otherwise it may be online. Check, look for it, or it's maybe just the written format of it. The script is there. If you want, I can record and send. We can look into that. And like 1,008 names, each name there is simple and yet it encompasses all that. And it's composed, created by namah. Anything else? If not, the recording.